If you've ever felt the urge to reach out again when someone hasn't responded, this video is for you. So, sometimes people think that when they're in a relationship, they're struggling because they're not getting the connection with somebody that they want, and they really want to reconnect. Maybe nothing even major happened, maybe the person just wasn't as active as usual in chats, or maybe they had a falling out or a fight and they just want to increase that connection and restore and repair. Or sometimes it's even simpler than that. They're with a friend, the friend is quieter than usual, and they start trying to get them to open up more. And people can push for connection, they can push for conversation. This is very common in anxious attachment because anxious attachment really wants to make sure that connection is okay. So if you're with somebody and they go quiet, it's natural to start wondering, oh my gosh, is there something wrong? Especially when your background is that when someone pulls away, the connection gets worse or you lose the connection. And because of that, it's very natural for people to try to soothe that connection, to kind of smooth things over, to make sure the other person's okay or to do a check-in. And with anxious attachment, this response gets heightened. It happens more often. So it's really common to feel unsettled when communication shifts or slows or pauses. I just want to say that's very normal. And a lot of times people try to do things in those moments that will help themselves to feel better, to feel safer, and to stabilize that connection. So in this video, I want to talk more about how we can try to restore that connection quickly and how even when those efforts come from care, they don't always create the closeness that we're hoping for. So what does that pull towards reconnection look like? So when someone's pushing for connection or they're pushing for reconnection, what might be happening? It might be saying, are you okay? It might be sending follow-up text messages when you don't hear back. Maybe it's checking in repeatedly when you haven't heard back about something, or it could be going into a lot of detail to explain yourself or trying to get reassurance or clarity very quickly. And sometimes in attachment theory, this is called protest behavior. It's not about manipulation and it's not about drama. It's more like a nervous system or attachment response. And you might have heard of the strange situation. That's what original attachment researchers studied decades ago. And that's when they looked at how kids responded when a parent left the room, leaving the child with a stranger and some toys. And what they found was that kids with anxious attachment were upset when the parent left, but then when the parent came back, the kids were really upset. Not because they didn't want the parent back, but because that separation activated fear and uncertainty. So the secure kids were really happy to see their parent. The anxious kids were upset because they were thinking, why did you leave me with this stranger? I just want to be with you. That's the nervous system responding. And the intention of that response is to feel safe again, to restore closeness, to decrease uncertainty around the connection. So when you want to reconnect with somebody, the intention is positive. It's not about trying to control anybody. It's more about trying to settle discomfort. But unfortunately, this often has the opposite effect of what we're hoping for because these responses can unintentionally create pressure. So especially for somebody who's on the receiving end who needs time or space to process. So the dynamic can shift from shared connection to urgency, even if that's not your intention. And the other person might pull back further, not because they don't care, but because they just feel overwhelmed by that request for connection and that urgency. So the distance then increases anxiety. You're trying to get better by feeling closer, it backfires, and instead you just feel more unsettled. So it makes people question themselves, it makes people doubt the connection, and typically pushing for connection like that does not help. So what does help in this situation? What helps more than pushing for conversation or connection is to start by pausing and offering yourself some support. So not in a get control of yourself way, but in a calm your nervous system way, calm your attachment system. So before you automatically reach out, do an internal check-in and notice what you're feeling, notice what you're needing, and notice whether the situation reminds you of anything else that you've experienced. And then offer your nervous system some support. This might be a simple self-soothing technique. I love doing this kind of work with clients. It could be moving your body, getting some exercise, writing out what you want to say without sending it, or using some kind of a grounding practice. And then once you're in a calmer place, you can decide, okay, do I still want to reach out? And how do I want to do that in a way that feels clear and respectful and honors both of us, that honors our needs? So the good news is that this does shift over time as you practice this new pattern. You build more trust in yourself and in your ability to handle uncertainty and discomfort. So someone else's timing or communication style will affect you less because you feel more resourced. You trust that you can calm yourself down, and you trust that you can give yourself some of what you've been seeking from other people, a sense of safety and relational security, without replacing connection. So other people's timing and communication doesn't affect you as much, and when you do speak up, it comes from a place of clarity rather than urgency. Relationships start to feel less like something that you have to manage moment by moment, and then more like something that you can meet with openness and enjoyment. And that creates more room for mutual connection, not this kind of forced closeness. So wanting closeness is really normal. Feeling anxious about disconnection is very human. Protest behaviors are not something that we need to judge or eliminate. They're signals that something's important, that our needs and feelings deserve attention. So really, this is about learning how to respond in ways that help you to feel more secure and more supported, more resourced, more connected, both with other people and with yourself. And if you'd like more help with this, you might be interested in the resources at kayleelarkin.com. You can check those out in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. This is Kaylee Larkin, wishing you a beautiful relational journey.